So hi everyone, today we're going to be covering one of the largest mills portfolio out there, which is the XTCERAs. As always, before we deep dive into it, like, subscribe, share this video, do something about it. As you can see here, XTCERA has a huge amount of mills. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do my best to cover the ones that I think make sense for a real lab, for a real day-to-day operations. You're going to see here that they have a lot of mills that are really heavy-duty industrial focused. So I'm not going to focus too much on them. I'm going to focus on the rest. So the way they start here, they have the D5 mill and the 520 DC. You're going to see that they're basically the same mill. And the difference is that the DC always stands for disc changer, which is attached right here. So basic data here, they are a 0.5 kilowatt spindle. They carry the same spindle, so lower power. It's a 5-axis mill. They are focused on zirconia, PMMA, wax, and maybe some hybrid ceramics. And the difference between the D5 and the 520 DC, like I said, is the disc changer. The DC here has a 6-holder automatic disc changer, and a good thing for us to keep in mind is that those two mills, they carry step motors. Now moving down on their portfolio, we're gonna see the same options but a little bit more heavy duty. So we have the 500 plus and we have the 580 DC. It's pretty much the same thing. They are both 5-axis dry only. The difference between those and the ones before is that they carry servo motors, which delivers a more precise movement of the axis. And if we look into the technical details here, we're going to see a really big difference, which is the spindle power. So here we have a 1.8 kilowatt spindle on both mills, and those spindles are water cooled, meaning that they have a spindle chiller that keeps the temperature down for long-term usage. So the two that we said in the beginning and those two here, how would I differentiate between those two? If you are a low volume production, go for the ones that we talked before. If you are a little bit more on the higher production side, go for one of those two. The difference between the 500 and the 580 DC is the 12 disc changer on the 580 DC. The rest is exactly the same. Now, moving down on their portfolio, I'm not going to focus too much on the 600 milling center. Like I said, this is a mill focused on really huge metal milling operations. They have the 500 SE milling machine, which is their more entry-level mill. Again, it's a 5-axis dry only step motors. There's no really big difference between this here and the D5. Probably the main difference is that the D5 you can do hybrid, so wet and dry. And on the 500 SE, you can do only dry. But realistically speaking, not much difference between those two. Now, moving down here, we're going to see more metal-focused mills. So we have on the screen here the 650 SE and the 600 SE2. The main difference between those two, 650 SE, I would say that it only applies for those who are milling metal all day, every day. And the 600 SE is for the ones that need more titanium abutments, because the 650 is a 5-axis mill and the 600 is a 4-axis mill. Why is the 650 ideal for those with huge metal milling productions? Because it carries a really heavy duty spindle of 4 kilowatts, so 4,000 watts of power. This mill weighs almost a ton. Well, it weighs exactly 1,000 kilograms, so it weighs a ton. And the next thing that makes it really metal focused on high production is that carries the square plates. So it means that you can put a holder with a 14 by 15 millimeters. So this you can fit easily 7 or 8 bars there. So again, this, if you're a lab that does a lot of metal, this would be the perfect solution for you. The 600 SE2, as you see, it's a little bit on the lower end power. It has 1800 watts of power. It's a 4-axis, glass ceramics, and pre-milled abutments. Now moving down, we're going to see a more realistic mill for those labs that want to do titanium, which is the 630 milling center. In terms of capability, it does the same things that the 650 does, but on a lower scale. Why? Because instead of carrying a 4,000 watt spindle, it carries a 2.5 kilowatts, a 2,500 watt spindle. So it can do bars, it can do chrome cobalt, it can do everything. But the difference here is that you're not going to be able to reach that high of a scale, that high of a volume. And the biggest difference here besides the spindle is that this mill only carries round 98 millimeters holder and not the square ones. And then you have the 600S milling center, which is the equivalent of the 650, but only for 4-axis milling, so pre-milled and glass ceramics. And to finish it off, we have the 300, the X-Mill 300, which is one of their coolest mills. It's a 4-axis wet only focused on glass ceramics, but it is focused on high production glass ceramics. So what we're going to see here, it's a 1.8 kilowatt spindle, so heavy duty, more than enough power to mill glass ceramics, so meaning you can have a high production. And it carries a 16 slot holder. So you can put up to 16 blocks to mill sequentially without having anyone to go manually change them. If you still have any questions, access our website. You're going to have a comparison tool with all the information you need about any type of equipment.